Heyo. All right, let's do this. Strap in, strap up, strap out. Good morning, grand rising, grand approach. Welcome back to the show that never ends. Guten Morgen, everybody. Let's all settle in, settle down, settle up. Whatever you need to do. Let's do it. Let me get my StreamYard straight here. Technology. It's the bane. It's the bane of my existence. It's the Bane Bear. What's up, Bane Bear? It's the Bane Bear of my existence. Why can't we get this to rumble here? What's going on? There we go. That's better. Come on in, everybody. Like I said, welcome to the show that never ends. It's basically the show about me. For anybody new here, I'm the show. That's the content. It's just me presenting content. Does that mean I'm conning you under the tent of some kind of illusion? Some would say. Potentially. For all you word police out there. Welcome to the Z Show. Let's fire the camera up. There we go. A face in the darkness. No surrounding lights. Let me get a little light in here. Let's bring up the background. Lighting, please. There we go. We need some production value here. Who wants to be my producer? Okay. Who's here? London McLovin, back in the house. Much love and respect. Renegade 1, my man, coming at us from southwest of Eden. Good to see you, Renegade. Heidi in the house. Much love, Heidi. Nachakita. We met Nachakita here yesterday. Check it out if you haven't. Much love, Nachakita. Never take the jab. It's good advice and a good name. Good to see you. Melodome in the house. Awesome Austin. Good to see you, homie. Slick Rick, Slick Rock, I should say. It says lock and load. You got it. Somewhere in time. Good to see you. Jay Kraft. Nice to see you again. Roper Overbearing. Tristan Laverack. Welcome. How we doing, guys? We're doing our thing. We're settling in. This is the part of the show where I just bullshit for a few minutes as people roll in. Let me get rolling here. And we engage in this endeavor called life as we act out and we play here on the metaverse in some type of simulation of culture and community. It's not really a community. It's not really a culture, so to speak. It's a simulation of one. Robin says, good morning. Good morning. Grand rising. Grand approach. Let's let the people roll in. What do you guys got for me this morning? Where are we going to go today? Where do we bring this? Let my energy interact with your energy. Let our consciousness, our mutual individual consciousness that we each possess, how can we retain our own individuality but yet participate in a collective experience? Isn't that what life is anyway? Rob Cleveland in the house. Let's check in. Let's check in with ourselves again, individually and collectively. Let's check in with our own mental, spiritual, and emotional state. What is the state of the truthiverse? For all you hard-nosed, hardcore truthers who've been here in the game for years and years, we've seen the scare tactics come and go. We've seen the psyops. We've been presented with the info. We're not all dead. We're still here. What do we do with that? Do we have buyer's remorse? Is there a truther buyer's remorse? Who regrets buying into this whole game of truth, honesty, integrity, or delusion and insanity, I guess, depending on one's perspective? Do you have buyer's remorse? What have you bought into? Do I have buyer's remorse? Am I just projecting into the rest of us? Sovereignist sets you free. Truth sets us free. Does it? We'd like to think so. I'd like to think so. Truth could be scary, right? Melodome, Austin says, Cipher syndrome. Who wants to taste that steak? It's a good point. It's a good analogy. Cipher in the Matrix. He knew it was a Matrix. He knew it was an illusion. He knew that the Matrix was basically a simulated program, but he chose to go back into it anyway. How many of us, how many have we seen have taken the bite of the steak? They choose the blue pill, and they go back into the Matrix. It seems to have a pull on us. This world seems to be continuously calling us like a siren call back into its grasp, into its seemingly warm embrace. It's our great challenge. It's our great struggle. It's my great struggle, at least. Smoking Truth TV, good to see you back. Who else do I want to shout out here? Sovereign Mist, I think I said hi to you. Three Fingers, much love again. Feather Bear, nice to see you. Heart back. Robin, right on. The concept of being in the world, but not of the world. It's a great concept. It may be the ultimate goal, the ultimate challenge, the ultimate struggle. Like Rob Cleveland says, Mein Kampf, my struggle. To exist in the world but not be of it. It's a lofty goal. Much more simple than one may imagine, at least at first glance. You don't want to be the righteous truther. You don't want to be the holier than thou, know-it-all. You don't want to sit on your godlike perch, looking down on all the other uninitiated, unwashed plebes. I mean, I realize there could be a thrill to that, you know? The egoic boost. Who doesn't want to be a god? But yeah, super truthers. The super truthers. Who wants to hang out with that guy? Who wants to hang out with Super Trooper? That guy's not fun. That guy's not fun. That guy's like suicide inducing, you know? Don't be that guy. That guy probably really is never going to get laid. I'm not saying that's the most important thing, but Super Trooper guy is really not getting laid. There's not many available, sexual consorts for Super Truther. Maybe Heidi. Maybe Heidi's available for any Super Truthers out there. Probably not still. My guess is that if Heidi was given the choice between some Super Truther or like some buff guy at her local Planet Fitness, she's going with the Planet Fitness buff guy. Who doesn't talk a lot. He'll listen to all her problems. He'll sit there and just kind of be her sounding board where he really doesn't say anything. And she'll just, my point is, don't be the Super Trooper. Nobody likes that guy. Pamela's Mystical Musings. Good to see you. Pamela Mystical Musings in the house. I actually stopped by her channel the other day, and I recommend it to anybody. She has these it's like these ASMR cosmic, moderately long videos. You can tell she edits them well. And she just kind of hits you with this like cosmic, psychic, spiritual, energetic blast of femininity. And you could just let it absorb you. It's possible that you could even consider it somewhat sexually stimulating. I don't know. Go try it out. Pamela's Mystical Musing. She's in the chat. Here, Pamela, I'll mod you up. You could maybe drop a link to your stuff or whatever you want to do. Consider it like a truther AMSR. Is that what it's called? AMSR? AMRS? Or whatever it is. ASMR. You can just lay down and kind of meditate on it. It's basically just her voice saying a bunch of cosmic stuff. And full disclosure, I did find it, at least on some level, to be arousing sexually for anybody who's interested. Much love, Pamela. Much love. Kick out the gym repairman in the house. Sovereign says, would the number of truthers represent the 144,000 out of the world's population? I've had that thought, Sovereign Mist. It's a nice thought to latch on to. Think about it. It's an exceedingly small number. 144,000. It's kind of sad. Good comment, though. Gary Baxter, welcome. For anybody new, welcome to the channel. Welcome to the show that never ends. If you're wondering what the channel is, I'll repeat it again for anybody. The show is me. It's basically a self-indulgent exploration into me. And then whatever comes of it. The friends, the acquaintances, the info. That's really secondary. It's really about me. No Despair Bear, welcome. Robin Corey. Nice to see you, Robin, from Melbourne, Australia. So yeah, welcome to the Me Show. And I'm Z. And who knows where that's going to take us? Because it's really not about the info. It's about the vibe. And sometimes the vibe goes up, the vibe goes down. Sometimes we get a little distorted, a little, let's say, disharmonious. And then maybe we try to bring it back. There's an ebb and flow. And we'll take it like that. But yeah, the 144,000, as Sovereign points out, that would be a really small number. And again, it would give us that egoic boost to think that we're amongst this very, very limited group. That we know something that you don't. And that makes me the special boy. Like we said, the secret king. Shout out to Big Bear. So are you the special boy? Are you the secret king? Am I? It's just a weird way to look at things. So maybe we can get over all that stuff. Who knows? What else do we have in the chat? Joe from Effed Up World, good to see you. Check out Joe from Effed Up World. He's been on the show a handful of times here. Check him out. He's got a good perspective. Particularly Joe, I'm intrigued by the perspective from some of our conversations. The traditional biblical depiction of hell, the abyss, the construct of space and what that may be. Talk about hell, if it is the abyss, the blackness, the darkness forever. Well, what is that other than our conception of space? The blackness and the darkness. We're told goes on forever. We see the stars out in space, but what practical science and objective reality tells us is that as we go higher in elevation, the stars actually disappear. That's not what NASA tells you. It seems counterintuitive, right? The higher you go, it actually just becomes darker. What does that mean? If the stars in the heavens were what they told us, shouldn't we be able to see more stars with greater clarity as we escape the atmosphere? But why do we see the stars disappear? It seems to be the higher you go, you just see the sun and the moon. Where's the stars? What are the stars? What is space? Again, the blackness, the darkness forever. Could our concept of space be analogous to our concept of hell? Again, the abyss. There's a different way to look at things, guys. This realm seems to be an inverted realm, so if they say hell is below us, is it possible it's actually above us? We have a truth or flat earther dogma that there exists the 7 layers of heaven, the 7 heavens, and that it's just, we just will assume, again, by dogmatic convention, that the heavens are heaven. The sky is a heavenly realm. Well, it may be on some level. But it doesn't mean that it is. So shout out, Effed Up World. Check them out. Different way to look at things. I'd like us to expand our minds, our consciousness. I talked about this yesterday. There's a tendency to just basically just to go along with comfortable dogmas, tropes that we say. It doesn't make it true. It doesn't make it reality. And there's a comfort to cling on to things. We want to know things. We want to have some standard by which we could define this reality. I get that. We have mortal limitations in this realm, but that doesn't mean we need to, again, dogmatically adhere to these often pre-indoctrinated beliefs. We may need them emotionally for a moment. Let's say we're going through some great tragedy in our lives. We open the Bible. It gives us some type of comfort. There's a utility to that. And there's likely a degree, varying degrees of truth with that. But that doesn't make it true. It doesn't make it ultimate reality. It doesn't make you right and somebody else wrong. So again, how can we find some degree of sanity and resolution, or we can exist in some, cohesive functionality? Mental illness in the house. Good to see you. And suicide awareness. Gary Baxter says, divine spirit is up. My concept, the way I sort of conceptualize this realm is, increasing levels of energy, increasing, let's say, frequencies of energy across the spectrum. So you have low frequency to high frequency, again, along this spectrum. You could think of the same thing as we go down the up. As we go higher in elevation, do we find higher levels of frequency? And that could that be represented by different densities of water or some ether concept? We call it water as such. We can look below the oceans and see denser water. And then the water we can conceive of, like the oceans, lakes, rivers, and streams. And then we could look at our air, that we call air and that we breathe, that we know there's a level of moisture or water within the air. Can we just say that's less dense water? Well, as we go up and up, do we just have progressively less dense layers of water that express themselves as a density gradient? Then could we not just extend that and just make an analogy between water and energy itself? It seems as though if we have a concept of ether, it's fluid-like. What is water but fluid? So couldn't we say that as we progress up through these less dense layers of water, that we're progressing up through higher frequency ranges that correlate with each other? Higher frequency, it's more ethereal, so to speak. We often talk about a firmament or a dome. Does it have to be a dome shape? Because when we see gradients, when we see water, air, really anything, it seems to find its own level when at rest and stationary. So, is the so-called firmament, is the sky level, just like sea level? Does it have to be a dome? Again, dogma. Can we escape the dogma? Let's see what the chat's saying. When in doubt, go to the chat. For anybody who's endeavoring to broadcast. OTW, what's up, OTW? Sovereignist says the dome is more like a ceiling in perspective. Melodome says the sky looks flat to me. Heidi says it's all aquatic. Yeah, I like that. Let's really think about it. Was there a time where this fluid-like medium that we call air, was there a time where it had a different density, different characteristic? You know, was there a different humanity, a different realm, a lighter realm, a more fluid realm, a more dynamic realm we could exist in? You know, we see angels being depicted with wings, otherwise. We see a history that shows these crafts, these floating crafts. Look at the Vedic or the Hindu Vimanas, or depictions that we can see even in Renaissance art. Beings sort of floating in a fluid-like, ethereal medium. Again, it's a different concept of reality. It's endlessly fascinating. We can go to the Genesis in the so-called Old Testament. Fascinating concept is this. It says that God or the Spirit came upon the waters. It didn't say he created or it created the waters. It said it divided the waters from the waters. The water seems to have been in existence as such. It didn't say God created the water. Somebody was talking about this the other day. It might have been Troubling Tribune. It's a good point. The water seemed to have existed as primary in relation to our concept of creation. Well, what does that say? What does that mean? Is it all about water? A lot of us talk about in these communities the experiments of Dr. Emoto and the effect that consciousness and intention has on water as it forms into a crystalline structure. Usually by freezing water. Well, if we can say that our intention, our energy, and our consciousness influences water on a structural level, what does that say about not only water, but how we relate to this fluid-like etheric medium? Renegade 1 says water is memory. Sovereignist says Bruce Lee says be like water. These are interesting concepts. We're just letting it flow, guys. Like I said, this show is me. We don't do information here. We do Z. You're watching Z do himself. You can call it, let's say, ego masturbation that you guys sort of participate in. I know that's weird. Let's watch the numbers drop after that one. Meldome says water is liquid crystal. Right. It's a different way. It's a different concept, different way to look at things. Walter Russell says all matter is crystalline. And Walter Russell's a good read for everybody. Look into him. Look at crystalline structures and how they interact magnetically with each other, with their environment. We hear stories of these crystal skulls, or depicted in the fourth Indiana Jones movie. These crystal skulls found in the Central and South Americas. They're crystalline. They were said to hold information. Think of it as some type of antiquitech, almost like some type of what we could consider like a computer chip, something that holds information, just a different type of information in these crystalline structures. Well, water shows to be crystalline in certain forms. What does that mean? Is it holding an energy, consciousness, so to speak? It's a way of looking at the realm and ourselves where we break the paradigm. We're told that we evolved. We're told a story that matter is first, prima materia, and that over some point in history, we sprang some type of consciousness, right? We're told that there was matter than consciousness. Very likely that's an inversion. It seems much more likely that consciousness is the overarching reality, and that the matter, or the prima materia that we call this physical world, is really just an expression of the consciousness. Let's call it a frequency bandwidth, a certain vibration that we perceive as physical, right? Much more likely, to me. Doesn't mean I'm right. I like to talk about these things because it trains us to embody a paradigm that breaks their control paradigm matrix. So we could remind ourselves of these things. So as I remind myself, we could all remind each other. Very likely consciousness is the overarching reality. And you can see that really evidenced in all the major scriptures throughout antiquity, all the mystery schools. You know, you could read the Hermetic principles. You could read things like the Great Work. If you look into the Kabbalion, the writings of the Kabbalion, the Great Work, the principles of, again, Hermeticism, the secrets, the knowledge that seems to have been known throughout time. You see bastardized versions of this presentation presented in things like The Secret, right? Pop culture versions of it, where we're told we can manifest things using our thoughts, our mind, our spirit, our conscious energy, that we can manifest things. To me, that's just a pop representation of this concept that we really are existing in a greater consciousness, for lack of a better term. We find it now expressed here online with terms like the simulation, the simulacrum. Shout out to Archaics. To me, we can get bogged down in the semantics of it. So, okay, it's a simulacrum. What does that mean? Does that mean there's some kind of technology? It's like we're basically participating in a Sims game? Or basically nothing but software? I don't really see it like that, but to me, it's just semantics. I don't really see a difference between a simulacrum and a simulated reality. I don't see a difference between that and just an understanding of consciousness that's been presented throughout antiquity. Again, through the Vedics, preceded by the Aryans, representations we see throughout antiquity, through the Sumerians, the Egyptians. It's the same story, just told in a different way. Story of conscious evolution, revolution. Let's check in with the chat. Pamela Mystic Musings says, been really enjoying all the Gnostic texts, so much profound wisdom. There's a lot in the Gnostic stuff, guys. I would agree with Pamela there. We don't have to consider it some type of ultimate reality. We don't have to fall into another dogma. The cool part about the Gnostic scripture is it's like the Bible, but like extended, you know what I mean? It's like the Bible it's like the director's cut. You know, you watch a movie, and you watch Goodfellas, and then you can watch the director's cut. You see Scorsese, he's telling you so the Gnostic Gospels are like the director's cut of the Bible. You get the different info. You could say the same thing about Enoch or the Apocrypha. Again, it's just more information. Take it for what it's worth, everybody. So yeah, Pamela's into the Gnostic text. It's understandable. There's good stuff there. Who else is here? Thunder Chicken in the house. Desiccant's up this morning. He set his clock. Good to see you, Desiccant. Hope you're doing well. Slick Rock says 7 principles. Who else is here? No Despair Bear says Z formation. I like that because, again, this is all about me. No Despair Bear. T2L2. Interesting name. Just says yo. Yo back. Deep's Dog says, what up, Z? What's up to you? Some new names here. Some new names. But yeah, the Gnostic stuff. It's interesting because oftentimes when I've had conversations, so-called debates with, let's call them the doctrine-believing Christians, the dogmatic Christians, they'll basically reference Gnosticism as a deception. They'll say, oh, he's a Gnostic, or he fell for the Gnostic deception. Okay. One could easily say the same to that individual, that they fell for some type of dogmatic, canonical, let's call it a Catholic, Church of Rome deception. Call it a Jesuit deception. You can call it I don't know, a King James deception. You could paint you could paint it in any way that you want. You could just say that back. You can give them the I'm rubber, you're glue argument, that everything they say bounces off of me and sticks to you. But I've heard that oftentimes. They'll say, well, they'll say Z's gotten into some of the unauthorized scriptures. I'll hear that. So it begs the question, what are the authorized scriptures? And then by extension, who's the authority? Because if something's authorized, it's done so from authority. So if you're telling me that the only authorized information that I can count as truth is the 66 books of the Bible that were presented to me through King James, remixed by the Church of Rome, or remixed from the Church of Rome, then I would say, okay, so you're telling me that your authority is the King of England and the Roman Emperor, because you're presenting the authorized scriptures as such. It falls apart, guys. Again, can we break our indoctrination? Can we think differently? Can we exist and just be different? I've said it a million times. The worst form of slavery is our own self-imposed slavery. The worst prison is the one that we put ourselves in. It's the worst one. Who else rolled in? Slick Rock, not to be confused with Slick Rick in the house, says they killed these guys, so they went underground. Thunder Chicken references John Lamb Lash, who apparently is another content creator. He says John Lamb Lash explains Gnosticism as if it's Scientology. For those new to these ideas, keep your discernment up when reading into these things. It's good advice, Thunder Chicken. Then Thunder Chicken goes on to say, Simon Magnus says, red light, green light. Papa Will says DMT. And that's it. It's a pretty good message there, Papa Will. I could try to interpret what you mean, but DMT, everybody. I will not promote or I guess, demote the use of DMT. Do your thing, whatever it takes. All right, we're 52 minutes into this game. As time goes on, I'll likely present different topics here. I'll have some canned stuff for you. Maybe we'll go through some certain scriptures, different topics that I find interesting. In reality, if I don't find it interesting, I'm not going to discuss it. Because again, this isn't about the information. It's about me in relation to the information. And some may say that that's narcissistic, or that I'm solipsistic in some way. To that I would answer, aren't we all, really? Let's invite some people in. See who shows up. It's usually at this time of the morning where I kind of feel the urge to throw the invite into the chat. I cast out the line. I've baited it a little bit, and then we'll see who bites. See what we could bring in. Sometimes when you bring in your haul, you keep it. Sometimes you throw it back. The realist McCoy, welcome. What I don't want to do here is just do information. You could do information anywhere. What I really want is people to come here and just tap into a vibe, my vibe. It's kind of like we're in sexual congress with each other. Or basically, I'm in sexual congress with you, and then we bring other people in to kind of get on the game. I know that may challenge some of you in terms of your delicate sensibilities. You may think that's gross. And if so, you're probably right, it is a little gross. Stephen Crumley in the house. Stephen says the tinnitus or whatever it is driving me insane. I think you've mentioned that to me before, Crumley, about your tinnitus. I can give you different theories on it if you want, but Sovereign says, I liked that Korean guy last night. I believe Sovereign, you're referring to our new friend Nachakita, who was in the chat a few minutes ago. So if you enjoy our Korean friend, it looks like he's showing up here in the back. So Sovereign, you're in for a treat here. Say Sovereign, you see how the world, the realm, the reality works. You expressed that you indeed felt an affinity, a kinship for our friend Nachakita, who I'm assuming you were referencing when you said the Korean guy. And now here he is. It is a little bit, I don't want to say racist, but just referring to him as the Korean guy. It may be considered by some to be insensitive culturally. Even though, interestingly enough, when I first met Nachakita, because I had problems saying and pronouncing his name and remembering it, I dubbed him Kimchi, which, if you know, is a South Korean staple. In their nutrition, right? In their diet is kimchi, which is basically a fermented cabbage-like food. So as I'm admonishing you, Sovereign, for calling Nachakita the Korean guy, I actually probably committed a bigger faux pas and ethnic sensitivity when I indeed referred to Nachakita as kimchi. So, all right, we got some people rolling in. Hang tight in the back if I don't bring you up right away. You know, I see you back there. Everybody, just chill for a minute. We do things a little different here. Different from what? I don't know, but let's just say different. Revenge of the Legion in the house. Says you can start the stream now. I've arrived. Now let's see. That's a degree of narcissism and solid system that I can get behind. Revenge of the Legion. I like that gumption. Let's bring up Rob Cleveland first because he kind of hangs out. He creates an environment and atmosphere. He sort of just he's like a mist. He's like an ether himself. He could just materialize this. He could exist without being insistent upon himself. So we're going to kind of leave Rob up here. Much love, Rob. Good to see you.
Thank you, sir.
Bring up Sovereign. We're going to bring up Nachakita. Nachakita, welcome back to the stream.
Yo, what's up? Namaste.
What's up, homie? Welcome back.
I'm doing all right. It's actually Nachi Cheta. It's more like a kettlebell sound rather than cheetah, but it's okay. Either way is fine. How you doing, Z?
Good, man. Good. We'll have to go with it. Nachiketa. Yep. It's practice. It's about repetition so we can get it down. It's good, man. So just remind us, where are you coming at us from? Did you say Nepal, India? Where are you right now?
I live in northern India, in the state of Himachal Pradesh, just below Kashmir.
Right on, dude. What time is it there?
It is 4:30.
4:30 in the afternoon. So let me see. It's 7 where I am. It's at 9 now. 4:30. How's that possible? Is there like a time zone where there's like a half hour that I'm fucking off on?
Yeah.
Somebody help me. Did I just have a stroke?
No, India is half an hour off, and Nepal is like 45 minutes off from everybody. So they like to do it a little bit differently.
way, really? Rob, did you know that the time zones were divided into half hours and quarter hours?
I had no idea.
Am I just crazy? I thought it was just always like an hour and stuff, which means there'd only be 24 time zones.
Yeah, in Australia, they have a half an hour time zone difference between different areas.
No shit. Well, it makes sense in some way. I mean, it's really a matter of convention. You could break it down as like in as many time zones as you want, or it's, I guess, as little, really, which is interesting. So it's 4:30 where you are. So that's 9.5 hours, let's say, ahead of me or whatever.
Yeah, ahead of you. Yeah.
Right on, man. What's on your heart today? Not Chiquita. We do things a little certain way here. We don't have to stick to a strict, like a topic. So whatever I was saying before, you could expand on it. You could ignore it. I don't really fucking care. What's on your heart? What's in your spirit? What's on your mind?
No, I'm just kind of interested in different content creators and going around and making my rounds and talking to different people, see what they're about. Maybe they want to know something about me. Either way, I was over at Paul Enslaved channel a little bit, and then Brian O'Shea's channel a little bit. Paul was giving Brian some advice, and Brian wasn't really taking it. So it was kind of interesting, to see emotional situations and the psychological situations of people where they're at, and what they might be going through. I spoke with Brian's mother for a little bit. She's from Ireland, so that was quite interesting, and his brother. So I don't know.
Cool.
I don't know. Internet is quite fascinating.
It is. Many of us here are acquainted with the characters you just mentioned, and it's interesting to see certain dynamics play out, because when people come on here and they present themselves and they show a degree of vulnerability, right? There's so many places to go with that, because there's, we talk about the infinite universe, the infinite galaxy, which we have no proof of, but what we seem to have some proof of is the infinite galaxy within our consciousness inside of us, where there seems to be no end to the depths and the structure of one's personality. And that's why when I come on here, a lot of it's just about submitting over to the process, where I don't really have to come on here with an agenda or with a topic, although sometimes I may choose to. It's really just submitting to the unknown and being courageous enough to be vulnerable in all ways and let people in. So as I explore my consciousness, myself, we can all participate in the process. So when you see somebody like Brian O'Shea, our friend Brian, and we see a man who's presents as vulnerable, and there's a lot that one can do with that, So it's cool to hear that you sort of that,
Yeah, do you mind if I ask, hey, Rob Cleveland, good to see you, bro. I remember you from other chats as Rob Cleveland long time ago, and I never had a
Yeah.
chance to like really hang out or talk to you. And then you changed your name again to Piano Man. I don't know how many other names that you changed your name to. But then when I first saw you, I think really for the first time was on OTW News or something. Like I actually saw your face and got to know who you were about. But like I've known you, obviously we've known each other from other chats for a while. So it's good to see you, man.
It's always good to see you too. I'm going to be away for a few minutes. I got a guardhouse inspection coming up.
All right. Yeah, I also kind of find these kind of like a panel like with a lot of different people, a lot of different personalities and how they interact with each other. Like, that one where you were on with Voynich with Rob Cleveland uh the like couple days ago, I think. That was very how would I say, like explosive, very emotional, very raw, all at the same time. I don't know what you thought about that particular show, Z.
Well, Voynich and I have a history, first off, meaning to say we resonate with a lot of the same understandings concerning this realm. Voynich, has a show, had a show. I haven't been over there in a while, and I've interacted with him not only on his channel, but here on my channel and other people's channels, multiple other platforms, so to speak. And we have a history. Voynich has said certain things about me online that were less than flattering, so to speak. I'm being political right now. I'm being, let's say, I don't know. I'm being gracious in my speak. I don't want to spend. I don't want to like spread some like horrible energy onto people. I don't want to put it in the ether. I don't want to put it on myself. But Voy and I have a history. Fine. Yeah, Voy and I have a history. So, I guess what you saw the other day was just he and I interacting and sort of doing our thing. If I'm to be completely honest, Voy seems to have some type of dissonance in his beingness, dissonant energy. I don't want to characterize it in any certain way. If you want to look at it through a certain lens, he does present potentially with some type of psychological disturbances or disorders, But I'm not him. I don't know, But he does have some degree of knowledge and understanding that I resonate with. Other than that, we can't control people in this realm. I can't control him. He can't control me. I do respect his intelligence in a lot of ways, but I can't imagine anybody going over to his show and spending time with him in that energy. I just can't do it, right? So it is what it is. If people want like Voy and they want to go to Voice channel, do it if that's your vibe. And that's the thing, Nachiketa, is that to me, what this experience is coming on here with some degree of regularity and frequency and just presenting myself, my understanding without an expectation on some outcome. Of course, I have goals and agendas that are going to color the experience, but to me, it's an expression, right? So the only way I could really find true value in this experience is by making it a creative endeavor for me that others can either choose to participate in or not to. It's the only way I could do this. If I attach any other type of expectation on it, then I build a resistance, not only with myself, but with my environment and the world at large. And it becomes dysfunctional for me. So where Voy fits into it is basically his journey, you know.
I hear you. Yeah, I hear you. I mean, I think this is part of this kind of collective experience that we're having, personally speaking. And then, we are all kind of like different characters with different experiences, different backgrounds. We're finding each other here on the internet because we kind of, we're kind of looking for the same kind of stuff. Like there's a lot of different content creators and we overlap. It's like a Venn diagram type of thing, right? And then some of us are interested in creating your own movement or whatnot. I mean, I like to go and support other people. I don't really have the gumption or the energy to create my own stuff at the moment. But that's how we all got to know each other, through different channels, basically what I'm getting at. And I just think that it's like, what does it mean to be like quote unquote friends here online? What does it mean to be like people who claim that they know somebody here online, and then like sometime later, maybe a year later or a year and a half, who knows what, and then you find out that people are not exactly what they seem, or maybe they also can call you out for you not adhering to a certain principle. I don't know, and maybe this internet is there to just kind of hold everybody accountable in some way. But I can 100% say I get along with some people much better than some other people, and Boy would not be one of them. you know?
Yeah, and you know, I'll say this with the experience, it's to consider somebody your friend or otherwise. It's a particular understanding what when we use the word friend, what that means. But to call somebody a friend online, it has a particular connotation. But just from I've learned from my experiences that it to get too emotionally involved in any particular person, presentation, or entity comes with certain consequences. And in reality, tells us more about ourselves than others. It tells us more about ourselves than anything else when it comes to who we resonate with, who we consider a friend, acquaintance, and otherwise. Let's bring up the next guest to the show. Because by the name You Are My Sunshine, doesn't look familiar to me. Let's bring him up, see what's up. Welcome to the stream. Oh, I know you. What's up, man? There's no audio. You're on mute. Yeah, you're muted somehow.
Boomer Tech Hour.
Actually, I'm doing engineering right now too.
Nice. What was your old
How's
name
that?
What was your old name that used to come up under? Remind the
Roper.
audience. Huh?
Roper.
Right, you
Roper.
were Roper something, right?
Yeah. Roper overbearing along with a lot of the people that were going with the bear group.
Right, you were Roper overbearing. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Cool. What do you got for us?
The
Welcome back to
bandit.
the stream, Roper.
Yeah, it's good to see you.
Are you in some way disassociating yourself with the Bears? Are you breaking allegiance with your Bear moniker?
Yeah, a long time ago. Well, not the Bears, but the what's the comedian's name that's got had everybody named name themselves the Bears. What's his
Owen?
name? Forget.
Owen?
Yeah, Owen. And,
so you were a bear
everybody.
at one point, but yet you forget the big bear himself? That's hard to imagine. What's
I was
going on
watching
with
a
that?
long time. If they're not on YouTube, I just don't have time to go too far down the line. And he got kicked off YouTube, unfortunately, unbelievably. Well, not unbelievably at all. Yeah. So, yeah.
So, Roper overbearing, give us something. I don't want to keep you up too long, only because I got a certain vibe. I got a nose for certain things. You seem like a good guy, but you might not be the best for content creation or the overall experience I'm trying to create here, other than probably in little bits and drabs. So You got a
Yeah, bits
platform.
and
I let you
drabs.
up. Hit me with something, dude. Hit us all. Where are you in your mindset and your thoughts? What can you share with everybody to basically create an energetic resonance here that we could all grow from? Go ahead.
I was talking today about I went to Mexico to the Mayan pyramids and today, and that place. If you want to hear something, it's weird feeling to go there. I talking to earlier, Paul, but it's definitely someplace you go to that you, no matter they have all these people around the Mayans that live there, and yet they tell all these stories and nothing adds up. You know, kind of like all of our histories, nothing really adds up. But the place, even though the people are all around, it just feels weird because you think of, it's almost, you have to go there. I don't know if you've ever been there, and the size of the pyramid and what went on, and yet why it was there, put there, and it's in a weird spot, and it's huge, and it's really, oh, what happened to the people? The Mayans are still there actually. Uh, they're short people with almost no neck, and they readily identify as the not the leaders, because they tell us leaders had these big sloped skulls. When we went through the pyramids, you have a tour, and huge skulls, and they were the ones that were in the center in charge of everything. And so that stuff, really exists. And where do they go? So
Cool, man. Right on. See, I like this, Roper. You came on, you gave us something we could work with, you presented something to us, and now I'm going to get rid of you. Not because I don't like you, just because
that's okay. I'm
I
just
am.
watching you.
So stick around. I'll let you up. You want to come up tomorrow, another day, I'll let you back up. And then each time you come up, maybe you give us a little something here and there, and then we could work with it. Cool, man. It was good to see you. Much love, homie.
Take care.
Rob, what do you think when I bring people up and let them down? Is that me being a prick, or is that me just being, in some way? What's your thought there? Like, so what was your interpretation of me letting him up? He says this thing, now we could talk about it. We could talk about fucking pyramids. Nachiketa, what are your thoughts about, Nachiketa, what are your thoughts about what we see as these pyramids, these ziggurats, whatever you want to call them, that appear to be everywhere, all around this world, not just in Egypt. We could see it in like Bosnia. I believe it's called Göbekli Tepe, which they fucking undug the so-called Pyramid of the Sun. We could see them in the Central and South Americas, these pyramids, these ziggurats. And some people say we find them under the water, under the oceans and the seas. Why do we have this pyramid? Some people say they're in fucking Antarctica under some snow. What could these pyramids mean? Did they have a purpose? Did they have a function? Were they some type of antiquitech in whatever way? Why are they found all around this world? Does it give us an indication into some type of worldwide civilization that may have existed, called Teteri or otherwise? Your thoughts, Nachiketa?
Yeah, most certainly. I think, they're definitely built with some kind of high technology that we're not privy to, like the normal people are not. And it showed like a kind of a connection between, there was already a connection between different parts of the world, the way I see it. And it does also show kind of a ulterior history, like a different history than what we are presented. So there are a lot of things that are kind of all happening at once. I think they did have a function. I don't know exactly what the functions are. Maybe it has something to do with frequencies or energy or something like this, or harnessing thereof. They seem to kind of correlate with like what we have like for computer chips and stuff like this. So there's some kind of a massive, like a larger scale type thing that's happening there. As far as Tartaria is concerned, yeah, I think history is not as long as we've been presented. To be honest, I think it's much shorter, and I think maybe there's been about 1,000 years since Jesus, rather than 2,000 years. I think 1,000 years has been injected in. And here in India, I've been to a lot of different temples here. They're all carved out, like carved out of granite, completely with like details that you wouldn't be able to do with a chisel. and a hammer, and they claim that they are, by UNESCO, like 4,000, 5,000 years old and stuff like this. And I don't know if I can really buy that. So that's kind of where I'm at, trying to figure out exactly, if we can go deeper into, actually pinpointing where these, when these things are all built,
Good points. Rob, any thoughts?
Yeah, I tend not to put too much thought into it just because I know there's no way of possibly knowing. So I kind of just stay away from it. I will say that though that I don't believe at all the official fiction, and I think that's pretty much good enough for me. I yield.
Right on. Let's welcome. I was going to bring up OTW. He's in the back. There he is. So welcome back to the stream, OTW News.
Good morning, Vietnam. What's up, guys?
Was that another racial insensitivity directed towards our Asian friend Nachiketa, referencing Vietnam? We already know he's Korean, Patrick. They're not all the same.
No, man.
You don't watch
is
my
from that movie.
show, Z. That's why. This is your issue, man. You don't watch my show, man.
Well, how could I watch your show when you stream at the same time I do?
Well, actually, you're streaming at my time. Never mind. I don't care. So yeah, no, I do the. I have this little clip that I play, with Robin Williams doing the Morning Vietnam. So I just came in with that. I figured it was a good entrance. Everybody always comes up and going like, "Hi, how you doing?" So I wanted to make like an extravagant entrance. Like,
give us an update in the OTW world. Last
right.
we left off, you had been in some kind of let's say entanglement with one Jason John Schwartz.
Yes, sir.
Do you have any updates on the topic?
Well, so far we've been communicating offline, and he's been he offered me a truce. He says I can go over there anytime I want, but his brother won't come up if I go on panel, and I'd have to adhere to a truce with Bruce to be able to be allowed to go on Jason's panel. So I said to Jason, fuck you, dude. I don't need to go on your panel. I have my own following. I got my own thing going. I don't really need to be on your channel where there's like only 3 people watching you, or sometimes even 0. I mean, seriously, it's not really interesting to do that. So I turned him down, right? And I said, but if you ever want to come over onto my channel, you can do so. I have no problems. And as for Bruce, he can go fuck himself, that big fat motherfucking dumb motherfucking shit. And that's pretty much that, right? And I'm going to be doing hit pieces on Bruce regularly. And in the beginning, I wanted to make maybe Jason my new Talcott, but I think I'm going to make Bruce my new Talcott, actually. Well, I mean, not
OTW, that's...
What's his channel? Bruce who? Bruce
sees all.
What's
He's
his
got
channel?
About 90,000, 95,000 subs.
Okay.
Don't even promote his channel.
Well, he wanted to know.
OTW, you're getting dangerously close to what some may consider hate speech in your presentation here towards Bruce. Do we hate Bruce? Do we dislike Bruce? Do we just disrespect Bruce? Or do we love Bruce,
I don't hate
understanding
Bruce. I don't
that
hate
he's
anybody.
misguided?
I don't hate Bruce. Bruce is a prick. That's all. I mean, you can't. There's no cure for stupid. So, but I don't hate Bruce. I don't hate anybody, man.
All right, OTW. Well, as much as I enjoy you, OTW, I feel as though the longer I let you up here, the more you're gonna siphon off my viewers, and in the form of competition, in the spirit of competition.
I don't want to fucking listen to your mumbo jumbo. Come on, kick me out. Fuck you, Z. Bye. See you later, man.
Much love, OTW.
Hey, by the way, I'm streaming at 8:00.
Right. You see what I mean? Not Chiquita. You see how it works?
Yeah, it's your show. You do as you wish. That's the privilege of having your own show.
Right. It's a way in which I could approach some type of, feeling of the divine, because we all want that. It's the need for control, the need to manipulate, structure things in order. But anyway, much loved OTW news. He's still in the back. Why are you, Patrick? Why are you still in the back? I'm gonna have to let him back.
Just
up.
because I'm listening to what you say before I just want to hear what you have to say about me before I leave. I'm about to go onto my own StreamYard backstage and do the whatnot thing there, but I was just listening, taking a sip, smoking my joint. What do I absolutely have to like click leave right away? It's like, because then I'd have to go over to YouTube, then click play, bring the fucking track back to the online where you're live, and then listen to what you'd have to say, maybe miss a couple of words, then have to rewind again, and then listen. It's just time consuming, man. So I just stay backstage, listen to what you got to say. If you don't have anything interesting to say about me, then
let
I
me
have to
ask
leave. I'm all
OTW
right.
something before he goes. Hey,
What?
OTW, may I ask, like, what is like, you kind of like enjoy when people kind of fight in your panels a little bit. Do you find that to be the case? Like, it's like rumble time, let's get ready to rumble, like it's kind of get that Jerry Springer
I'm
energy over there.
honestly, to tell you the truth, I'm leaning towards like my channel. The theme of it is it's kind of like the WWE. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
This is a little bit, but there's no script, so it's all improvised. It's like all natural. Everything's like happening naturally. So yeah, it's just like and I enjoy that kind of stuff. But I never really watched WWE that much. But I'm just saying, it's like the channel. I want it to be even more intense than when people get heated on Paul's channel. It's like I'll push that just one step further and see how that works out. But anyway, I'm having a lot of fun with it, and and it's not always like that. I mean, yesterday I had a very, very light panel. Yesterday it was very calm. I had Scott Severini on, telling us his perspective on reality. You'd like him, I'm sure.
OTW. Much love, dude.
All right, peace, guys. I got my own shit to do.
We know you do. The chat's wondering who has the bigger ego, me or OTW. It's a good question. Go ahead.
Do you want to have a bigger ego than? Do you want to have a bigger ego than OTW, than Patrick?
I'm not sure, because I would only be given my perception of what I think his ego is, or mine. Like I said yesterday, I think the concept of ego, however we can look at it, is not something to be overcome, but to be managed in a healthy, functional way. Because I think it sustains us. I think there's certain realities in this realm where we need certain things. You need an ego, you need competition. You need these things to balance out, or otherwise you can't exist here. There's certain fundamental realities, I think, of this realm that to exist here, that must be embraced, managed, maybe not overcome. That's the way I go with it. But yeah, OTW is going to do his thing on his channel. Like he said, he wants more WWE vibe. And what I'm finding is people's channels are really just an expression of themselves, energetically, their personality, wherever they are. So if he's in a place now where he's right, so if he has some type of WWE presentation, let's call it a chaos that he's experiencing internally with himself, he's going to then express that on his channel. It will be expressed
about him plenty of times too. You said that about him plenty of times too. And sorry to interrupt you there. I just had to throw that.
But that he's at war with himself. That he's at war with himself. It's kind of like split personalities, right? Where sometimes you see OTW, he's the good guy, he's the baby face. In wrestling, it's called the baby face. Other times he's the bad guy, which is called the heel in wrestling. I think OTW has this battle within himself. Likely we all have this internal battle, right? So then what we see, we're just expressing our internal world, and that others can, they can experience or view that in a certain way. Now, I've said this about myself. If you see certain things here, it's me expressing it. You're just seeing my internal world being expressed out here. So anyway, much love, OTW, but I'm not sure how I feel, Rob, that if he wants
Yeah.
to come on here every morning 5 minutes before he goes on to try to announce it, like you don't really see me doing that with anybody else. What are your thoughts on that, Rob? Do you think OTW is in some way trying to exploit his relationship with me, or the fact that I'm letting him up shows that it's really not an exploitation; it's more of a co-creation or a give and take? Help me out here.
Yeah, I would say it's more of the latter, and I think there should be sort of more of that sort of thing, but just in a more uniform type of way, a more structured way, so that when one show sort of ends, if somebody wants to go and continue on, just go on to the next show or the next broadcast or whatever, just sort of have these little time slots or whatever. That's how I
Right.
feel about it.
The thing about it
Yeah,
is, Rob,
Paul was talking about that, right?
and there's validity to that, but then that assumes certain things. It assumes that a group affiliation, right? So it assumes, okay, there's a group that we need to adhere to these time slots, but the lines get very blurred between that group. Are Paul and me in the same group? Probably, but in some ways maybe not. Is Benton and OTW in the same group? Is Benton and Z in the same group? Is Z and Chalk Body Outline in the same group? See, not really. Is Voynich and Zetetic in the same? See, if you expand it long enough, the lines become so blurred that they basically become non-existent, and the conversation.
Well, that's why you let the people choose. That's sort of how the competition works, right? It's
Well,
just,
and also, if
I see what you're saying.
I may,
Go
though,
ahead.
yeah, and I understand what you're saying also, Z. And the thing is, it's always up to the individual. So, like, for example, let's just, for the moment, that you and Patrick, you guys have a good relationship, and you guys are quote unquote online friends and stuff. You guys would want to work with each other, right? There's a desire to, hey, I am considerate of you, and you're also considerate of me, and we'll find a way to work around it. So your priority is going to be based on like how close you are to the people you're in competition with, in my mind. Does that make sense? It's like if somebody who is in competition with you, but you don't feel like you're very close to them, you don't need to have any consideration for them, because you'll just do what you want to do. You don't care for that person, even though they may be competing for the same audience, right? But if you're close to somebody and you want to work with them, then things can be talked out, or maybe stream each other, and have each other, in the plane of view or something like this. I don't know.
Well, yeah, that's sort of the thing, though. There's a lot of crossover with audience. I mean, I'm one of those guys that sort of watches all of these different folks. Z, Benton, Paul. I'll probably catch a few minutes of Cuck by the Outline, EBT. I sort of just try to. That's just how I go about it.
Yeah, no doubt. It's really, it's just like the radio, man. You can tune in, you tune out. It is what it is. And in reality, like I said, my greatest joy is just the expression in it. So if I can detach from some outcome or some expectation, I could then enjoy the process. I could make it something that's healthy. And, it doesn't have to be this internal struggle, this jihad. Let's get back to.
I just think, yeah, go ahead. I just think everybody is here to grow. Like when I have different interactions with people, maybe some people rub me the wrong way, and I try to think to myself like, hey, what is it that that person said or did to make me feel the way I did? And why should I allow it to affect me? Or maybe it is good that it is affecting me. Maybe it is good that I am pissed off, and then it will motivate me to become stronger or better individual. I like to know the intent of the content creator. Sometimes they want to just kind of poke the bear, just to poke the bear, to see them get riled up, and then people getting all pissy and hissy at each other, and then that's fun to watch. It's like watching a dumpster fire. It's great, and you get a lot of views that way, but it's not really sustainable in my mind. Like people tend to feel bad about certain situations and they don't want to really resolve it, and they kind of leave it at that, and that's not really a courageous thing to do. If we have shortcomings individually, or I have some issues with somebody else, I like to try to address it, and be more direct about it. That's just me. That's just my approach to things.
Yeah, well, this is the internet, and not a lot of folks are like that. But I feel what you're saying, because I'm the same sort of way.
Right on.
Yeah.
Let's welcome our next guest to the stream. Our next guest is a friend of the show. He comes to us from one of the northern lands in this realm. I see him back there. Some people call it the country of Sweden, but as I like to call it, as dubbed by our next guest, it's really the land that exists southwest of Eden. If we can consider Eden somewhere in the north. Anyway, let's dispense with the build-up. Let's welcome our friend Renegade One. Renegade, welcome back to Z Show.
Boom, boom, boom. Nice one. Big shout out from the magnetic center. They say that everything started there, I don't know. I think it started everywhere at the same time because there is no beginning and no end. So what's good, everyone? Nice to see you again, C. It's been a while. I got busy. I'm chopping woods, and my dog is chilling, and the weather is great, and the summertime is here, and my friend in New Zealand now, they're gonna have snow and winter, so everything is moving, and we got the clock above us, don't we? So, and one more thing, I never get pissed off. I'm a happy guy, it's peace all the time. But I get pissed off if somebody calling me out, I'm just laughing, so that's all I have to say today. I just want to pop in for a few minutes, give you some inspiration, live your life, be the one you are, and take care of the nature. That's the thing. Yo, nice.
Hey, Renegade. Pleasure meeting you.
Same to you, man. Same to you. Yeah,
Cool,
southwest of
Renegade.
Eden. Yeah, super cool.
It's good seeing you, bro, representing those vibes. It's just so interesting to me that this technology that in many ways has brought, I think, a lot of, let's say negatives to our world. I think a lot of this technology has degraded humanity in so many ways. But of course, we have the other side of that coin. This technology enables us all to communicate with each other, to interact in some way. So maybe it's about what we do with this technology. Renegade One comes on, he presents a certain vibe from a certain land. Now we could experience his vibration from his certain energetic standpoint all the way up in Sweden, man. We got people from all over this world experiencing this at this time. We can use this technology and in some way alchemize it in a way where we could escape this dichotomy of either heaven or hell. Can we look at this realm in a way that's functional, where we say, okay, where do we find the balance? Where do we find the peace where we could exist and find some degree of sanity, man? And so I appreciate what you bring, Renegade.
I think the technology maybe been here before, and then also pause or something. I don't know if they talk about these resets and stuff like that, but I mean, still you talked about the pyramids later on. And for me, it could be a communication center as we have today, but I mean, we don't have any time different now in this technology, and this is the digital technology, but still we are in the analog world. And I think the analog thing is the hidden technology, because I make music and I've been down with music for plenty of years, and the best sound you get from analog, but now the digital version is even upgraded a bit, so we got two technologies now. Before we only did have analog things, and that is the forgotten technology in a bit, because today everything that they sell to us in the music industry is digital. And the same thing over here, when we speak with one another here, it's just 1 and 0. So it's just 1 and 0 all the time. And as you used to say, it's a drummer. You can't do everything. You can only do 1, 2, 1, 2, and the rest is magic. It's in the middle room of everything. It's between everything. So we're on it. Yeah. So I got my battery levels getting low. I just want to pop in and say Peace to everyone. Peace to you, C. Love the channel. Love this panel. Salutes to the chat. Go follow and subscribe. Thumbs up. I drop in next time when I have time. So salutes from me.
Cheers,
And
bro.
my chill out dog, and we're taking it easy with the wood chopping today. So take good care, everyone. Peace, peace. Thank you, C. Yes.
That's Renegade One, everybody. Check him out.
Awesome. Awesome.
This let's just focus on the flat Earth thing. This flat Earth awakening. We'll just call it the awakening to the globe lie, the globe deception. It really is a worldwide thing. We talk about it here using the English language, but imagine all the conversations going on in all these other languages. They say that in Brazil, they did a survey and they found 11 million people identify themselves as flat earthers. 11 million just in Brazil alone. Whether they speak English or not, I don't know. I'm sure a percentage of them do, but we have these limitations where we look through things through a particular lens, but really, truth is what it is, and people discover it in any language, But I always just think it's interesting that what are these movements? What do these conversations look like all around this world? Are they going on at the same level that we see them going on here on YouTube, just elsewhere in other platforms, or just in other languages that we're just not privy to? Or what do you think, Nachiketa? I mean, you live, you're not in the U.S. on the U.S. What's your interpretation of some of these, let's say the awakening, so to speak, this countercultural movement that we can identify? What's your take as far as these other cultures and how they may be experiencing them?
Yeah, so for me, I became a flat earther like back in 2014. I didn't really have a lot of people to talk with. I wasn't making any contents about it, and I found Jeranism, Globebusters, like same channels everybody else like later on. But initially, it was like Mark Sargent, Eric Dubay, and Matt Powerland. Those are like the three main guys for me. And back in the day, like 2014, and that's only like what 9 years ago, maybe like 8.5 years ago. Like you don't really get to talk with a whole lot of people, but then over the years, it just started to grow, and now it's unstoppable. I really think it's unstoppable, and the movement is very strong. Whether you believe the Earth, the firmament is flat or not, and there's like other maps that come out from all this. The Earth is not a globe. That's one thing that a lot of people are come to realize, and that truth cannot be stopped. I met a guy randomly, like I was playing chess, I was going to chess tournaments and stuff like this, and a conversation came up, and I talked about it. I'm always very straightforward. I'm like, I'm a flat earther, and then we can talk about it, and you can tell me I'm crazy or whatnot, but I'm happy to talk about it. And one guy's like, yeah, man, I'm a flat earther too, and he's like some Indian dude, and we shook hands, and we were like, yeah, man, like, so I think people are waking up here, but it's not as like talked about. It's not as like talked about as it is in the West, because the movement is like from America and Europe more than anywhere else.
Well, it seems to be. I don't know if that's what that is. We can consider that a function of. Is that a function of are Americans or westernized people, do we have greater access to certain technologies that we could be presented with this information? Is there a greater openness in Western cultures? I mean, let's look at China, for instance. We can imagine that it seems like there's a greater technological curtain over, let's say, the Chinese population. They may not have such ready access to open discourse and open information. Well, by nature, that would naturally limit their ability to access the information. And also, conversely, they'd be more susceptible to the propaganda, so does that give us a Western bias to this truth, or There's a lot of ways to
Yeah,
look at it,
like
really.
the East Asians are quite collective minded, and I think they are easier to like you can propaganda. You can use propaganda against the people easier in the East than in the West. And of course, the propaganda is like slightly different, at different places. But like Westerners, there are a couple factors about Western world. One, they're the richest in the world, like Europe and America. They're the rich, they're richer than other countries. So people have more leisure in those countries. Like they have more opportunities to actually go and venture into, these like, niche concepts like the flat earth and investigate themselves and come to the conclusion themselves. But if, you are grinding, 12, 14 hours a day plus for like, in just enough money to survive, you're not going to be thinking about flat earth. You're not going to be thinking about government conspiracies. You're not going to be thinking about many things that are the control mechanism of this world because you are just set on trying to survive, and I think those are some of the differences perhaps between the Western world and the East from what I have seen. And India is like a hodgepodge of things, it's like very difficult to control things, and people are all over the world, all over the place in terms of language and culture here. So it's a little bit different.
It's a good point. It seems as though the game is to keep the population always on the edge of survival. You're one paycheck away. We're always just on the edge. Is it possible that's an engineered situation, right? So you keep everybody in a survival mode, and it prevents them from sort of realizing some type of self-actualization, right?
Mm-hmm.
It keeps everybody just enough where they're surviving. They're just successful enough to survive, but they're just disempowered enough to never really realize their full potential. Is that the great game that they play here? So you keep everybody, you create a zero-sum game in which we're all in competition with each other, and then it prevents us from really attaining some degree of enlightenment, so to speak. Because people will then give the standard trope, okay, whether the world's flat or it's a globe, they'll say, what does it really matter? I still have to go to work on Monday. Okay. Well, they're not questioning the underlying premise. Do you really have to go to work on Monday? Do you really? Or is that the game that was presented to you? Because the reality is, we were given a promise of the technological age. What's the benefit of this technology if not to improve our quality of life? If it doesn't improve our quality of life, I see no benefit, because I see people who are working more and more than ever, who are stressed out more than ever. I see psychological disease and disorders at pretty much pandemic levels. What's up, Rob?
Got somebody in the private chat that wants to come up.
Oh, I do have somebody in the back. What are they saying in private chat? So there's someone in the back named Claire Call of Secular Quranism. It says flat Earth is a CIA experiment to show how stupid Westerners are, instead of talking about politics. Well, I could say the same thing. I could say that politics are a CIA experiment that prevent us talking about flat Earth. You see how you could flip anything? And they said instead of talking about politics, they fight each other about flat Earth and Mandela effect. They're laughing at you. How stupid can people get? Let me on to talk to this dumbass. So Claire Call, am I the dumbass? Is Nachaketa the dumbass? Is Rob the dumbass? Or are we all collectively dumbasses?
I'll be the dumbass. It's okay. I mean, it's fine.
Then Claire
I think
Call
it's all
says,
three of us collectively.
says, can I be let on to talk about it?
Yeah.
Hold on. Then
Claire Call.
Then Claire says, yeah, your government hates you because you're so dumb and degenerate. You prefer to make noises to each other rather than let me on to tell you what I think. Well, Claire, you're at least wrong on that last point. It's because I am going to let you on. What I am going to do, I'm going to put Rob and I'm going to put Nachaketa in the back. No offense, guys. Don't go anywhere, or go anywhere if you want, but Claire and I are going to have a conversation. Much love. Hang on if you want to come. I'll let you guys back if you hang on. All right. Thank you, Claire, for giving us an intro that we could work with. Now I'm going to bring you on. We already have an intro. So everybody, let's welcome to the stream Claire Call of Secular Quranism.
Hi, guys.
Claire, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I think you can hear me.
Yes. Welcome to the stream. Much love.
Thank you. John Vance, I don't know if you've heard of him, told me about your video, your stream, and yeah, somebody was telling me that he believed in flat Earth too, and I don't know if you've heard of him or if you've spoken to him before, but anyway, okay, I think there are more important things to talk about, like politics and stuff, you know.
Claire, I'm suspecting, because your voice sounds familiar to me. I don't know if what's your name? Your name's Manny or something. I don't know. You sound familiar to me. So I'm thinking this is a put on, this is a bit, but we'll go with it. It's enjoyable. You know, I like characters as much as anybody, unless you are being serious, but either way.
I am being serious. I don't think we've spoken to each other before, because I haven't heard of your channel, and an associate of mine you know, posted this link to me on Twitter.
So Claire of Quranism, tell me why you think the flat Earth topic is a psyop being perpetrated upon the unsuspecting Westerners in an effort to distract us off the political arena. Go ahead.
Well, I know that there are members of British society that I would associate with being, well, formerly associated with being, I don't know, upper middle class, affluent and all that. And they're talking about it. Okay, I only know two, and another, somebody else was saying, you know, have this theory about whether Shakespeare wrote his plays. And I thought, there's so many more important things to talk about, but people want to talk about these, you know, easy, well, as far as I'm concerned, irrelevant topics. I think people are doing it as a kind of displacement therapy. You know, you don't want to talk about scary stuff that might get your channel struck. And so you talk about these things because it's, you know, nobody's going to care that, you know, some people think, you know, the Earth is flat. And you're wasting your time. You're kind of relating it to stuff in, you know, real life about, you know, how your future's going to be. So obviously you're experiencing distress about what, you know, how the future is going to be for you guys, and you have this feeling that it ain't going to be good because of the way the government is going. But I'm thinking, I don't know if you've heard of this, you know, this phrase, weapons of mass distraction. And I think, you know, instead of letting you, you know, to talk about the politics, the election, and religion, you're just creating your mini religions. Like, you know, yeah, I believe in flat Earth. No, I don't. I believe in the Mandela effect. No, I don't. And you know, just shit like that. So your energy is dispersed, and you don't talk about the things that really matter. And then you fight each other about nothing.
So, Claire, what would you deem worthy of discourse, worthy of energy? What topics would you recommend, so to speak?
Well, I'm saying religion because I'm at Speaker's Corner in London. You may have heard of it. The discourse is between Christians and Muslims, and I think it's actually unregulated there. Our media is so regulated that, you know, they have somebody called a content director that feeds us news. views, and it's whatever they think is important or whatever they think we want, that we should know about. But Speaker's Corner is kind of organic. If you're really upset about something, you might just give up your Sunday and go there and talk to people about religion and politics. And the discourse there is about Christianity and Islam and feminism and war in the Ukraine, and COVID and lockdown. And these are, well, I guess the sort of thing that people would care about, in a practical way.
So it seems as though you're saying that, there's certain topics like the flat earth, which are created for division and to put us in this endless conflict. But you think other topics are more valuable of discourse, like politics, feminism, and religion, which is an interesting perspective. The other thing that is interesting to me is that, you reference Speaker's Corner, which I find interesting because I can't think of another greater example of tyrannical, despotic tyranny than to say, yeah, you could speak on this corner here. Yeah, that seems to be antithetical to the idea of freedom of expression, freedom of thought, and otherwise. But all right,
Well,
I'm gonna let you go, Claire, because half the chat thinks you're Menel, the other half says you're not. You likely
well, I'm
are.
not, and you will have heard of me if you give me a Google. So thanks for having me on.
Much love, Claire.
Okay,
Keep it real.
you too.
Rob, your take.
I think it was a bit trolly, and I don't suspect that it was Manel, but I think it's sort of weird that she mentioned John Vance as one of the first things that she mentioned.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just
Well,
seemed real trolly, and yeah, that's about it. I'm glad you cut it when you did.
I just wanted to see where she was going to go with the whole thing. You could kind of, okay, you want to come up, you want to do a bit, that's fine. It just matters if the bit has legs or not. I mean, are we even to take anything she said seriously? So I guess the whole thesis, bit or not, was that there's certain topics that she would consider to be sort of an engineered agenda for division, flat Earth or whatever. But then she juxtaposed that with the idea that religion and politics are actually the more preferred topics or the more valuable topics. Just a strange presentation.
That's why I said it was a bit trolly.
Yeah. But this is the metaverse, man. You're never really going to know you can never really know.
Like the thing with those topics that she mentioned, like a lot of those things are like intangibles, as opposed to the globe deception. There's tangible things that you can do yourself to do oneself so you can get the information.
Right. Like Desiccant said, she just killed his vibe. It's all right, Desiccant. Sometimes you got to kill the vibe to bring it back. You can't just exist in some state of bliss constantly. There has to be the ebb and flow. You have to. Which is interesting, Rob. Lately, I've been like realizing like this concept of like it's almost like you have to put yourself to the test somewhat. Like, for instance, say somebody feels anxiety or something, and you go out and you jog 5 miles, you sweat, your legs hurt, you put yourself up to it, you've given yourself some type of strain, if you put yourself under some type of stress, but that enables you to then come back to some state of tranquility or some state of functionality, right? People want like the hedonistic. They want to be happy all the time. It's almost like they want to just. I don't just think it's realistic in the physical world to just exist in some ultimate bliss state. I think that's the deception, is to get us to think like almost like a Jack Talcott. it's this aim where we could just sort of try to achieve some state of nirvana, some state of enlightenment here within these physical bodies. You know, these physical bodies, we have to eat. Sometimes you get a stomach ache. The food doesn't agree with you. Sometimes you have explosive diarrhea. You get sick, you vomit, you don't feel well. Sometimes you're cold, the weather's bad, you're hot. You know, a lot goes into even creating a physical homeostasis, or just an environment where your physical body can exist in a state of functionality. Well, now let's take that to the metaphysical, the conscious, or the psychic level. And to exist in some state of conscious psychic bliss all the time is, I think it's an illusion. I think that's the deception. You know, can we work on embracing the ebbs and flows, and we find our existence within the stream of consciousness? We don't just go for some false idea of what bliss may be. I also see it, Rob, in the Christian doctrine, you know, where it almost makes you feel bad about yourself because you can't achieve some state of divinity or otherwise. And you know, I think the religious thing is the oldest grift in the book. It's the biggest grift there is the Christian grift. But anyway, I digress. What's his name? Robert Bering's still sitting in the back. Let's bring him back up for a couple seconds. Let's let him hit us with something. You know.
I'm just working and listening. I'll think of something. Give me a second.
Just go. Whatever's on the top of your head. Just hit. You got people listening to you. You know. You just hit us with something.
I was in high school whenever the teachers give us this curvature formula, and I worked out of the feedlot, which you don't know. But anyway, at 17 miles from town, and I'm going, wait a minute. I don't. And, you know, I go back, and they're come up and say, oh, it's redaction and all this. And I'm like, okay, fine, whatever, you know, chasing around. And then I was driving, this was in Texas. So I drove, and we would drive from this one town called Canadian. You come up on a cap rock, and we just go to the game because we had nothing to do on the way home at night. But we would play a game called 30, which meant it was 30 miles to the next town we were coming to, and we could see it. Whoever called it out first, you know, you won nothing, but, you know, you're the most observant person in the car, right? And so anyway, that's it's been a long time that this has been bullshit been going on, and there always had a story.
Cool. All right, we got it. We'll take it. We'll take it. I'm getting rid of him, Rob. But that wasn't bad, Roper. We can work with it. All right. So it gives us a little like an entree. He gives us like an appetizer, and then we could turn it into the entree. So okay, he whets our appetite. He brings up the 8 inches or the 7.9 inches per mile squared. When he was a kid, he could see a town 30 miles away from a certain vista. Now he realizes, now he has the ability to think. He can use his critical thinking abilities and his logic and reasoning to realize that if you existed on a globe, there'd be no way to see the town 30 miles away. Thanks for the contribution, Roper Overbearing, which is weird because he said before, Rob, that he adopted his name because he was a bear from an Owen Benjamin bear, but then couldn't remember Owen Benjamin's name, which is interesting. It just shows how our mind works. We have somebody else in the back. We have Svetlana in the back, which is a name that rings a dim bell. What does that name mean to you, Rob? Svetlana. Is this a Russian, like a femme fatale, a secret Russian agent that's sent here almost like a Bond character to distract the static warrior?
I think she's Russian, but the thing, I don't know, man. Every time I've seen her make an appearance on a panel, she just goes on and on and on and on. And she doesn't answer any questions. She doesn't like being interrupted. She can't hear nothing. It's just
right. I've heard. So Svetlana, I've been introduced to you on our good friend Ian's channel, We Are Awake TV. I've seen Svetlana there presenting. I will say you were memorable, Svetlana. I did enjoy your presentation, but I do agree with Rob that you do have some audio and technical difficulties that in some way make the experience challenging. So let's let Svetlana up. Let's talk to her, Rob. Let's see what she has to say. Maybe she could
You can
Again,
talk
give
to
us
her.
give us a little something. I'll talk to her. I'll put you in the back, Rob. I'll let you back up. It helps focus my attention a little bit more. Svetlana, welcome to the show.
Hi. Well, a little bit about flat Earth, I guess. Of course, it's a psyop. Same thing as the round Earth. The only thing what's explained this world is basically hologram, and it's a proof of hologram all over the place if you look into it. The smallest piece have information of all, basically. Plus, when you're looking at the stars and the moon and the sun, it's moving together with your head, right? When you're looking at it, it just moves together. It's only possible in hologram. Another thing, if you cover some object with the piece of paper and place it in front of the mirror, and after that angle mirror a little bit, you're going to be able to see this object. It's only possible in hologram also. The information is supposedly should not be visible. Sorry, I have some voice problem today. It's visible in a mirror, so it's only possible in a hologram. And it's very simple to see it. I don't understand what is wrong with people, why they cannot see it. And the main information is, at some point, we're going to be presented with the portal. When magnetic field weakens or completely fails, you're going to be presented with the portal. And do not go there. And well, you can look it up, portals, how they look like, just by Googling. Because I already seen it on May 1st. They were trying to put me through the portal. I was basically in a normal health, but you know how on the May, like in the major holidays, like they have on May 1st, they were trying to put me through the portal. So I actually was not on drugs, absolutely nothing, but I was basically hallucinating that portal straight in front of me, and they were pushing me. So some people on the severe attacks lately, that's what I'm trying to say. And it's
Right on.
very, very real. The rituals
So
they do is very real.
Svetlana, as much as I would like to in some way jest or joke with you, or in some way, like the chat has different feelings on you, Svetlana. I will say that there's nothing you're saying that I disagree with. I actually resonate very strongly with your thoughts in your presentation here. I do think, if anything, if this reality is anything, it appears to be some type of collective dream that we're experiencing, called a simulation or otherwise. So I can't disagree with you, Svetlana. But what I am going to do, I'm going to let you go because I want to end on a good note. Feel free to come back any other time, give us some wisdom, present whatever you want with us, for
Actually,
us. Actually,
I can hear you really good today, so we can actually talk. If people have questions, you can just read it for me because I cannot see the chat at the moment. But
yeah,
I can
that's
hear you
good.
perfectly.
We'll do it another time, Svetlana. See, I like to create a foreplay with people. We don't want to go right into the hardcore sexual intercourse. We need to learn each other. We need to feel each other out. We need to kind of build the anticipation for the audience, and then we can really experience each other in the most complete way possible. So it was great talking to you today, Svetlana. And it was nice to meet you. And
Thank
I hope
you for
to hear.
having me.
Yeah, I hope to hear from you in the future.
I'm
Much
actually
love.
a pretty reasonable person when I actually can hear people.
Yeah. No, again, I resonate very strongly with your points, and I don't disagree with any of them. Much love. She wasn't bad, Rob.
Yeah, not this time around.
I'll let her come up and say her thing. I can't disagree. Like, look, I could find a little bit, like, in disagreement where she says the globe Earth versus the flat Earth is a psyop. I don't see it like that. Okay, it's a simulation. Let's picture it as a simulation, like a video game. All right. Well, look at these video games, man. They don't exist on a globe. It's just a plane. It's all about perspective and, convergence, divergence. A horizon is basically where the foreground, it's basically where the ground meets the sky in the distance. It's really an illusion. I get it, but when people say it could be a globe or it could be flat, I don't see it because I don't see it. I don't think it can be a globe. So, okay, if you want to say it's a simulation, I can go with that. We can have that discussion, but I don't see any way in which water, which to me is the ultimate truth and reality in this realm, I don't see it convexing over a globe. But let's take that out of it. I resonate with what she was saying. I was talking about this yesterday. Whether we call it a simulacrum, a simulation, or just like the Vedics said, the Maya, the dream world, the illusion of form. It's the same thing to me. It's just semantics. I don't know why people get so caught up in the semantics of the topic. Anyway, let's let Nachiketa back up.
Yo. Nobody else in the backstage?
People come and go, dude. People come and go.
Mm-hmm.
You know who we haven't
So,
seen, Rob? We haven't seen our... Hold on, Nachiketa. Rob, we haven't seen our friend Joshua. I'm a little surprised he hasn't popped up in the chat. I hope he's well.
Yeah, I'm sure he is. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe he just, I don't know. Maybe he was one of those that unsubscribed when you went away. But I don't really see him doing that, so I don't know what it could be.
Maybe he found something. Maybe he found like a group that he could belong to, man, or some kind of something that he could experience, where he could get he can participate in what some may call friendship. I don't think he has that, and he's just an example. He's just one of amongst a whole population. I do think, guys, that one of the agendas that we see perpetrated across humanity is the agenda to just divide us in every little way possible. Meaning to say, what I see is a loss of community, a loss of family, because a community and a family implies inclusion. If you're a member of a community or family, it's implied that you're included, and so as the nuclear family, so to speak, in the community gets destroyed and it gets sort of washed away in deference to a greater culture or a society, what we see is more loneliness. There's more Joshes in the world. Even myself. As technology and culture progresses and society progresses, it hasn't brought me any greater connectiveness, really. It's actually made me more lonely and isolated. Anyway, your thoughts, panel?
Yeah, I would tend to agree, and it's the same thing with me as well. I guess I just sort of was able to handle it in a better way, and was able to be grateful for it. It's made me into the man who I am today, and that's still learning and progressing. I'm a student of life. So, yeah, I mean, the technology has definitely made up a more disconnect that's happened. And the fake pandemic that happened definitely didn't help with that. I yield.
I want to bring this up to the panel. We have Lubass here. Nachiketa probably is not familiar with Lubass, but he's in the chat.
I am not.
Oh, he's in the chat.
Right. Rob, what are your thoughts on Lubass? I'll give mine, and then we'll move on.
I like Lou Bass. I fucks with him. I'm happy with the progress that I've been seeing from him. Yeah, I mean, there's always more to work on, but yeah, I'm happy with the improvements that I've been seeing from him. I think what happened yesterday was pretty funny on Yurt's stream, but that's some sort of digression. I yield.
Well, I like Lou. I think he has a good overall energy, and I think he has a heart that's right. I think Lou has a right heart, so to speak. I do, however, take issue with Lou, certain aspects of Lou's personality that he's presented here. I do think that Lou evidences a high level of egoism, narcissism, and in essence, fear. I wouldn't say Lou's a complete narcissist because it would kill him to say it, because Lou probably thinks I'm a narcissist, but I know he's labeled other people narcissists. But I'm not going to just give Lou some broad label, some hasty generalization. But I do think, Lou, that you would be better served or well served to maybe let go of some of the vitriol that you hold, some of the ego. You know, maybe deal with some of the issues that you may have with yourself, and you may see some better relationships in your life. I think I'll leave it there, Lou. I do resonate more with Lou's daughter, Trish, in terms of who presents as more of a authentic, sincere human. I think Trish has a sincerity to her that Lou's missing. But again, Lou, I don't think you're irredeemable. I also agree with Lou when it comes to his thoughts on diet and nutrition. I do think animal products are in some way beneficial overall to the human physical well-being. You know, Lou is very passionate on his stance in terms of animal products and diet. I do agree with him there. To me, it's just an unfortunate reality of this fallen realm that we're in. Much love, Lou. Much love, Trish. Let's welcome our next guest, Wobbly Boost. Welcome back to the show. Much love.
Sorry, caught me by surprise.
Oh, hello,
G'day,
sir.
Zed. Yeah, g'day, Natch. Good to meet you, mate. I'm Wobbly Boosted.
How's it going, Wobbly?
Really good. Good to see you, Zed and Rob. Yeah. We've changed the subject from Lou, haven't we? But I was kind of agreeing with you there, both on the meat thing and also that, man, your daughter does seem a little bit more sage than you, Lou. But then that's down to you too, isn't it? That's probably down to you. you helped bring up a child who became smarter than you, which is pretty much the human race should aspire to, right? Yes.
Nice take on it, Wobbly. Good take. Wobbly, you last time we spoke, you were living what I conceived of as, you know, in the Australian outback, some kind of tent. You know, my limited American mind goes to fucking Crocodile Dundee, Wobbly Boost. You might as well be the same character in my head. You know, I'm simple like that in a lot of ways, man. But in reality, you know, you're in Australia. Are you indeed like on the outback? Like, bring us into your geography, dude. Are you like in a town, in a fucking village? Where the fuck are you, bro?
yeah, I don't discredit anyone who straight away thinks I must be wrestling crocodiles and riding kangaroos to work. It's not really like that, but yeah. I live on the eastern seaboard of Australia, near a city called Mackay, and I'm on a block of land, and I'm extremely stupidly lucky. I spent the last 2 years in a city, and I do not like cities. And lucked upon this block of land, sharing it with an absolutely awesome, awake person, and even the landlord's got his eyes open, so that's a rare thing. And yeah, it's beautiful. It's nice, but I take everything as it comes, day to day, month to month. But yes, I can't believe my luck, Jed. It's absolutely beautiful.
That's a good vibe, dude.
Hmm.
You and I have talked in the past, and you mentioned in the chat today, you make a distinction between a quote unquote flat earther and somebody who just knows that we live in a level horizontal realm.
Yeah.
I use the phrases interchangeably, but I could see where you're coming from. Would you care to expound on that topic?
Yeah, when you're talking about it numerically, there is literally millions of people who consider that they live on a plane. Part of it's cultural or religious. Like, it's totally understated how many people actually follow heliocentric theory. So there's lots of people that in their mind, they live on a plane. They know it from birth, backwards and forwards. So you're talking about everything from American Indians to Mongolians, Tibetans. That, a lot of those ancient religions that are still followed all consider it a plane. So yeah, but none of them would consider themselves flat earthers, and yeah, but it was a tongue-in-cheek satiric joke at the flat Earth fad. Yeah, which is no less true, but we've talked about that before.
Yeah, like you've mentioned before, it's become a brand, so to speak.
Yeah.
A brand, like a registered, fully, fully owned subsidiary of whatever. But
yeah, a banner to wave. They identify by that. It's like some people are just a good example, perhaps, is some people are just gay. They can have sex with the same gender, and some people are like, I'm gay, and they identify with it. All day, every day. That's what they're all about. So that would be a halfway way of just defining what I was saying.
right on. I could see that analogy. It really begs the question. Should we define ourselves by anything really that's not in and of ourselves? So once we take the step and we identify with something external, are we not in some way then giving ourselves over to it, and it's relinquishing our own divinity, our own sovereignty, right?
Well, yeah, because with the definition that you got the physical knowables, I physically know this, and people can choose what they physically know, but that's physics. And then there's the metaphysical knowing, which is not definable. And you guys have talked about this a lot. It's come up a lot. Rob's talked about it, and it's been on Paul's channel a lot. It's metaphysical knowing. I know it. I can't show you a piece of paper that proves it. That's metaphysical knowing. And then there's physical knowing, which is my common senses know this. Fire's hot, ice is cold, etc.
I want to ask you something about Australia.
Yes.
The presentation over the last 3 years that most of us have been given of Australia was that there was a high degree of, let's say, tyranny from your
Yes.
government in terms of their practices relating to the last 3 years.
Yes. The
Can you give
trouble.
us some insight into that? Because there's levels to it. You
Yeah,
know,
we-
Canada seemed to be more tyrannical than the U.S. Australia seemed to be even more tyrannical than almost anywhere else. So I don't know if
Yeah.
its designation as like an island country, so to speak, would make it more so, or there'd be a. What do you think?
Yeah.
Give us your take on it.
Yeah, no, I get you. I mean, there's two sides to it. I think it would be fun to refer to it as the Troubles, as the Irish did, because they could never actually refer to the actual things that were happening. You know, the Troubles. But yes, there's two sides to it. Australia never stopped being. It never stopped being a penal colony. It's always been a penal colony, right? When they wrote our constitution, they did it in a hurry overnight to convert it from this is a continent that's a penal colony that's owned by the English crown. Yeah. And
So in
then
essence, you're saying that
pretend to be a democracy. Like it's a
right.
lot thinner than the American constitution, which was actually taken by people who were over the English crown. So ours is written hurriedly overnight to say, hey, today you're a democracy, you're not a penal colony anymore. So the mind control's still very deep.
Right.
And it's funny, it goes state by state, because I know people that have left certain states because the tyranny was just fucking ridiculous, right? And they come to this state. But the tyranny that in the southern states, particularly the state known as Victoria, was just straight jackboot. If you wanted to know what it was like in Germany in the 1930s, you just could have lived in Victoria in the last few years in the Troubles. And it's still got the same governor, or we call it premier, state premier or governor. It's still got the same governor, and he's still saying everyone should go and get their sixth shot. We still have to worry about the Troubles. Yeah. And it's ridiculous because the WHO themselves have said that the Troubles are over. There's no emergency anymore. So yeah, there was, but there was a lot of resistance too. And the more you went into the rural parts of Australia, the less they got away with, because they can't police it. You know, these were all unpoliceable fucking laws, pretend laws during the Troubles. So yeah, the more remote the communities, the less they accepted the shit. But in certain cities where the slave psychosis was deep, you know, if the television said X, then X was true, and they all fell for it. Yeah.
Right on. Let's ask a more general. I'm going to ask you a more general question, Wobbly.
Okay.
Okay, so you presented a situation that seems to be coincides with what my interpretation was of your country, right?
Mm.
The question is, the next cycle that comes around will likely be even more tyrannical, more jackboot than the last, right? They seem to be increasing, ramping up the control. What's the solution? Is there any external action that one must take? Is it just an internal game? Is this just part of living here? To me, it always comes down to it's like a teeter-totter between action and inaction, you know, give and take, push and pull.
Yeah,
What
the short.
what
The
does one
short.
do? You know, do we just become a Buddha, just sit under a tree, and what do we do? What do we do, Wobbly?
Well, there's the thing. The short answer is Zen. I mean, the path of least resistance is no action, right? You have to take internal action. But I don't. I mean, I'm not purporting that way or some other way. But personally, I'm way over protest or appealing to government to stop being slave drivers, to stop lying to people. You know, it's ridiculous because they were corporately taken over a long time ago, and there's no controlling them. So to me, there's only two answers. You completely go to your inside and hope that other people follow. That's the answer for the human race. But if you want an individual answer for yourself, it's just realize what's going on and learn to say no. You know, learn to say no to the television and the fake government, because they are completely fake. They're a complete corporate figment of imagination. And
Right on.
there's
Right on.
the external way to go. There is an external way to go, which is just make a new de jure government and wait for the rest of the population to realize that they're being run by a corporate scam who took over their government a long time ago.
I can't
yeah.
disagree with that, Wobbly. I can't disagree.
Yeah.
Let's welcome another member to the stream, Emmanuel. Emmanuel, welcome.
Muted.
You're muted. You're muted.
Hey, sorry about that. I've just been following along. Just enjoying the conversation, man.
Yo, what's up?
How's it going?
Cool. What do you got for us?
No, I heard you guys talking earlier about how the earth might be shaped or whatnot. And I dropped in the comment a couple times, the Vedas pretty much talk about the shape of the universe and all the different realms. In the Bhagavad Gita and in the Srimad Bhagavatam.
Right.
For example, if you read the 5th canto, it's all described in there. I'm not going to get into it, but you could read the 5th canto, and at the last couple chapters, it'll tell you in real big detail, like how the earth is pretty much shaped, the shape of the universe, and everything beyond that too.
Why'd you get into it?
It goes back a couple of years. Well, actually, I got into the whole Hare Krishnas years ago through their literature, but I kind of backed away because I saw a lot of funny stuff within their movement. It's pretty much divided, their movement. You got the Ritviks who believe you don't need a guru, and then you got the people that love chasing gurus, and the more famous the guru, that's the guru they want. So, but I saw that and I kind of stepped away. I liked more the philosophy, and I liked the if you truly like accept the instructions and all of that, there is purity behind it and there's success.
Let me ask you, what's your conception of the world, the universe at large? So you said you've read these Vedic texts and they present a concept. Do you adhere to that concept? So when you envision this place, what do you see?
To be honest, people say, oh, based on these calculations, the earth is flat or round. I can't see that. I don't see that myself. Certain literature might say the earth is shaped a certain way. Okay, but I can't see that myself. So I kind of go based off of what I can only apply in life practically. And then everything else is just, speculation, really, at that point, to me. If you can't marry philosophy with religion, then they're either all speculation or all sentimentality. There's no.
Well, let me ask you this, can we set aside religion and philosophy, and can we just use maybe the principles of science as a way to try to discern the nature of this reality
Absolutely.
in some objective way, right? So I would contend that if we apply the principles of science and logic, we see a realm that's horizontal and level and that shows no evidence otherwise. So meaning to say, if no one ever brought up the concept of a globe or the heliocentric model, no rational minded human would ever think that they lived on a globe in some ever expanding universe orbiting a sun. You have to be taught that. It seems to be a level of indoctrination. There's nothing natural about that concept. I mean, it's actually the opposite. We perceive a realm that's level and horizontal, that's motionless. So I guess I would say, to me, the conversation isn't about religion. It's not about philosophy. It really shouldn't even be in that realm. We can keep it to logic and, let's just say, objectivity. When I apply those principles, I see a level horizontal realm. We talked about water earlier. To me, water is the ultimate truth. Water, to me, when you look at contained bodies of water, they don't demonstrate any curvature, convexity, which would then make the idea of the globe impossible, right? So I frame it like that, Emmanuel. We can, because anybody could point to any scripture they want to try to prove something, even scriptures that oppose each other. Anybody could point to any particular philosophy they want to try to justify or to prove anything. But in reality, if we use the principles of objectivity and logic, we could at least attempt to discover and discern this reality in some way. And we could at least recognize some shared reality. When I do so, I see a realm that's level and horizontal. And that understanding for me is very difficult to escape when I keep it on those foundational principles. Go ahead, floor is yours, Emmanuel.
Well, it's like you said, the path to truth is a scientific one. You're not gonna speculate your way to truth. It's a hard route. But it's like you said, it's all scientific, and if you can apply it and achieve results, then you get the truth at the end. You can't just say, oh, well, there's this process, and if I do it, then I get this result. But if you don't apply it, you'll never get the result. So, I see where you're going with how you see the earth is flat, because I can see it in many ways how the earth is flat, on a small scale and on a larger scale. And even there's been old people that still can recall when they were teaching that the earth was flat in schools back in the day. So why they're changing it now, or why they're deciding to make it a globe over a flat earth, and what's the value behind changing it? I mean, we could get into all different kinds of topics as to why they decide to change the narrative, or where we live on, or what our realm is shaped like. I mean, we could go on and on.
Emmanuel, let me ask you, what gives you motivation to perform in this realm? When you wake up in the morning, what motivates you? What gets you out of bed? What gets you functioning?
That's a good question. And it took me a while to answer that to myself. But I think service. We're all here to serve in some shape or form. Even if you're a king, even if you're a servant, we all have a prescribed duty that we have to carry out in life. whatever that is, that's according to your own karma, your own desires, whatever your soul chose as its path in this life. But serve, we all have to serve, because even if you don't serve, you're gonna serve a dog. But serve you must. So what gets me up in the morning is thinking about how many people I can serve, directly, indirectly, it doesn't matter. That's all I think about in the morning. How are my talents employed in the service of others? If that answers the question.
It was a good answer. I liked it. I approve of that message. You got my stamp of approval on the service thing, you know. It's a to me it's a reasonable way to look at our existence.
To
You know.
serve humanity for the greater good, which includes nature and man, obviously, because
I noticed
we're
that
all
the service attitude is waning in society. Like you go to a fast food restaurant, they just slap you with the food. They're tired of living. They hate their job. You can't serve like that. There's no.
yeah,
It's
because
not. It's not auspicious to serve that way. I yield.
that's the slave cycle, right, Emmanuel? That's the slave cycle where they expect fruits and they get disappointed every time there's no fruits from their labor.
Right.
So you keep serving and expecting my just fruits, and you look at your pay packet at the end of the day and you think, I just put up with complete arseholes all week. I've lost. So they don't give anymore. They're not serving humanity anymore.
Right on.
You can all get
Emmanuel, you've highlighted the L, so to speak, on your name. Is there any significance to that?
Well, somewhat, yeah. El is an old Hebrew way of calling the gods. The gods, the Anunnaki, the whatever you call them, the Shemsu-Hor, you could go on. They all have different names, but El is like we're all gods. We are the El in this world. We are the gods. We are the physical manifestation and expansion of the Supreme, unlimited. We are that. We are the El. So I attribute to the L.
Right on. Elohim. All the angels have the L in their name. Michael,
Yep.
Samuel. You can go on and on. There's
My
a lot.
middle name,
Ella
my
Akbar.
middle name is Emmanuel.
You know, I've heard it referenced in association with Saturn also, for what it's worth. Interesting. All right, Emmanuel, it was nice having you up. Before I let you go, any final thoughts for the audience?
No, thanks for having me. I'm getting over the first time jitters of using this and being out, having my face out there and all that. But thanks for having me, and thanks for
Nice.
being part of the experience.
Was this your first time on a stream presenting?
Well, yeah, you see, I've been on different forms of stream, but I'm already primed with this weird feeling of nervousness due to I've done streaming through Family Court a lot, and I'm already hyped. So that's how I feel when I'm already in this situation. So I kind of got to break out of that habit and get myself more relaxed, more in a flow state when I'm streaming. But thanks.
Right
Thanks
on.
for the.
Right on, dude. Peace out, man. Come back and see us again, Emmanuel.
I will.
It was good to see your face, Emmanuel.
Yeah, I know what he means about. I know what he means about some of the nervous energy when you come on, you present yourself, and I agree with him. You have to work through it. A lot of it's a mindset, it's practice. It's kind of getting over yourself. It's being able to be vulnerable in a lot of ways, and being able to conceptualize things in a way where you could prioritize things and kind of get over, because we build things up in our minds a lot of times. We create stories. We write stories about reality, about ourselves, that aren't necessarily true, and oftentimes are by no means true. And then there's a narrative that gets created, and then we project out that narrative, and and in a way, it's just a fantasy and it's illusion. So I get where he's coming from with that. But yeah, the Wobbly and Rob, that the L. I'm always fascinated that when we look to the so-called Old Testament in Genesis, it talks about the Elohim, right? And you know, many scholars have interpreted that as being a plural representation. So to say, it says we were created in the image of the Elohim, which is the plural gods, not a singular God, but a plural understanding, almost a pantheon of gods, whatever concept you want to have of it. So,
Yeah, yeah, and that in metaphysical investigation, it could just be the dual gods, that the Godhead is negative and positive, so it's female and male, so all of that is the root of a plural God, so it's got to be both sides of everything. But also, as you say, in the Greek or the Norse mythology, it's a whole bunch of gods with one for everything, which is also taken up in the angels or the angles, that we need the 12 houses to make any realm happen, right? Yeah. So that for me would be the distinction, that the Godhead is the Godhead, male and female, negative and positive. That's the entire universe. And any realm needs these 12 angles or angels with all those elements to exist. I hope that makes sense. Metaphysical getting from me, yeah. Mm.
right on, Wobbly. Rob, you got any thoughts on the L topic?
Not too much, to be honest, because I haven't really looked at a lot of that stuff. I don't know. What I find interesting is all the fascination behind people's like wanting to know the names of gods, and I don't know. I just find that interesting. There's a lot of fighting and bickering that I see with that specific little area. Is the names. That's it.
Right.
Mm.
The chat has a lot of good things to say about it.
Yeah, I was reading some of that.
To me, we all have like a framework in which we sort of categorize reality. And when I look at this reality, it seems as though you almost have like the same gods throughout time and history, but with different names. They just, whether they're different incarnations or just different understandings of these so-called gods, whatever they may be. There seems to be commonalities. Like you said, when you look at the Norse or the Nordics, the Greeks, the Romans, the cultures that predated them, the Egyptians, the Sumerians, the information we have, stuff that we hear about the Atlantean culture, they seem to you seem to see these commonalities, whether they just represent some type of archetypal concepts that we can have, or if they really were these beings, these almost as fleshly beings that actually existed in this realm. It's an interesting topic.
Yeah.
Whatever these.
Yeah, I was just going to say that I think if you go with the reset theory, that suddenly everything got fucked up really badly, and there was some humans left, and we all came back and started trying to make life on the surface again after the long, long dark. But there's a lot of scholars out there that will tell you that a lot of the ancient scripts were written in Sanskrit or other languages that nobody knew how to actually translate properly, right? So they did their best because everybody wanted to reach back to that ancient mythology because that was where we went wrong in the first place to cause this massive reset. And I'm sure there's been more than one on Earth, but yeah. And you can allude to, the Tartarian mud flood stuff that's also become banner waving. But we don't really know. There is no definitive book. And that's also the good part because it makes us think, right?
Right. So to me, the way I look at it, dude, is like, the exploration of these topics. It's the value comes in with the exploration, with the endeavor, because what it does, it challenges the conventional presentation of history, religion, science, and otherwise, right? Because we're presented with, there's a conventional understanding of what this world is. You either play along with it or you don't, and really becomes a cult. It's a cult of culture. You can see it every day. There's certain things that are okay to question, and there's certain things that are not. Well, I'm the type of person to say, okay, well, if I can't question it, well, why not? Let me go there. And so it's the question, it's the inquiry that has the value. Whether or not we could ever know for sure, it's the process that has the value. Because by participating in the process, that helps train us to disassociate with the frequency of the culture that seems to be very intent on driving us towards particular understandings. And then I have to ask the question, if I see a coordinated attempt to drive my thoughts, feelings, and emotions towards a particular understanding, well, then what's the purpose behind it? Why are they doing it? And how do I counteract it? Because it's easy to get entrained into their frequency.
Yeah.
Because it's seductive in so many ways. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just, I can't remember who said it. It's a famous quote. It's that any religion that feels like it needs to go out and recruit people isn't a very good religion. Any religion that's out there broadcasting itself and trying to convince people can't be a very good religion. Because if it was a good religion, people would naturally be drawn to it and naturally go, oh, wow, that makes a lot of sense. I want to be there. But almost all the modern churches want to recruit and want to convince. Right. And I'm sure it wasn't like that. In fact, I kind of know that it wasn't like that. I know that all religions were in accord way back, but that's a metaphysical knowing. Right.
Right on, dude. Right on. The biggest grift seems to be the religious grift, like I said earlier, because it's already ready for you. It's like a pyramid scheme, or it's like some kind of, you already have the documents. It's already laid out for you. There's already a doctrine. There's already a system to buy into, whether it's Christianity, Hinduism, Buddhism, whatever, Judaism, and then it's like it's built in for you, and then you just have to adopt the grift or not. The Christian grift really gets me because I see a lot of these modern. There's a lot of modern iterations of the Christian grift. You even see it here on YouTube. On Paul and Slave's channel, he's been dealing with that guy Anton, this dude Anton, who has a channel, and he's a YouTuber.
The whole conscious community is like that.
It's pronounced Antoine, apparently.
Antoine. Yeah. Antoine. That might be racist, probably, Boost. You might be
there's like a certain sect of them where it's it's just chocolate coated Christianity.
Right.
It's the same thing, man.
Exactly. Because when I look at Anton, I just see a guy he's putting himself out there, but he's kind of just doing celebrity gossip. He's doing his own thing, but it's got an overlay of Christianity that he can always go back to that. To me, that makes him no different than the Reverend Billy Graham or Joe Osteen. Like Joe Osteen, he does this thing. When Joe Osteen talks, he's really just giving Joe Osteen philosophy under the umbrella of the Bible. because when you look at a lot of the scriptures, the Bible could prove or disprove really anything you want. You could make any point you want with the Bible. You could really just cherry pick a scripture and have it just justify whatever thing you're going for. So I just see it here on YouTube. They're going to present themselves, but they're always going to do it under the generalized umbrella of Christianity, which to me is just weak. It's easy. It's disingenuous. It's kind of immoral in a way, because I think they know what they're doing as they're doing it, and that's why I call it a grift. It's just a different flavor of religiosity, just presented with their own spin.
Yeah,
I'm not a fan of it.
yeah. I feel like there's three levels when you're talking about Christianity, because for me, back in ancient times, before, basically before papal control, before Vatican took over all the churches, corrupted all the churches and corrupted all the royal houses. You only had royal houses who were dependent on the people's faith for what they believed in. And in those days, all of the churches were in accord with each other. They didn't disagree with each other. They were in accord that there was a God being, and that we should answer to it. And it wasn't dogmatic, and it wasn't literal. You didn't need a book. It was just the round knowledge that, okay, that's your church, that's your church, that's your church. And that it was more about the faith of the individual grouped, right? Whereas now you have different churches shooting each other, which is absolute bullshit. It's clearly not for the greater good of nature or man or spirit if they're going around disagreeing with each other and shooting each other, right? So that's what church has become now. So there's three different levels. If you're just talking about Christianity, you've got banner waving cultist Christianity in the church, and then you've got people who swear by the Bible, dogmatic Christians who aren't in the church. That's their faith, but their faith is literal. It's words in a book, right? And then you got Christians who don't need the book, who are just faithful that there is a God, a Jesus, and a greater good to aim for.
Right
So
on, Wobbly.
those three different levels are very, very different. And I'm none of the three, but if you ask me my metaphysical theory, it would sound fairly Christian, but it would also sound like, several other, and that's not being watery. That's just my best guess at the greater good. Yeah.
Right on, homie. Right on. All right, dude. It's time for me to wrap it up. Any final thoughts for the crowd?
It's been a long night. Thanks for having me.
Much love, dude. Talk to you again. All right, everybody. It's going to do it for today. As I like to say, parting is such sweet sorrow. So let's not make it goodbye. Let's just make it a farewell for now. The plan is to come back every morning and do this at 6 o'clock. I want to dedicate myself towards something. Yeah, Flow State. I know you just got here, but I'm wrapping it up. I finish at 9. That's the goal. 6 to 9. I might do 6 to 8:30. I don't know. 3 hours feels right. You get the energy started. You build up to some kind of climax or crescendo. Although I'm not sure you can really consider Wobbly Boost any type of climactic experience. But we love Wobbly, but to consider him a climax might be a bit of a misnomer. But anyway, Same time, same place tomorrow. Much love. Peace, love, and understanding.